Well, good morning. Good morning. Good to have you here. Thank you so much for sitting down with us for the next few moments. And I wanted to start off by letting you know that we are filming our documentary called The Lion of Lenox Avenue. And that's obviously a very personal nickname that you've had for a number of years. How did you acquire that nickname?
I don't know about the lion part, but if you had to find one word, you say, who are you? Well, I'm Lenox Avenue. And sometimes my wife says that in a very derogatory way. But I was born on the streets of Lenox Avenue. I've cleaned up in barber shops, worked in pharmaceutical houses, worked in hat stores, shoe stores. Always had a job. And quite frankly, when I came out of the Army and thought I was a real big shot, but medals and stripes, and realized that I didn't have a high school diploma, and I knew the GI Bill was available, without the encouragement of the people in Lenox Avenue, I couldn't have done it. I was 22 years old. And so, the good and the bad is all Lenox Avenue, and I don't know how it started, but I wasn't always a lion.
Well, you certainly are now, and you certainly do hold your own in this space.
It wasn't always that way.
It wasn't always this way. I have in my hand here a book that you wrote called And I Haven't Had a Bad Day Since. Where did this title come from? What does it reflect?
On November 30th, 1950, I was 20 years old, on the borders of China, a part of the 2nd Infantry Division. We'd gone there in July to stop the intrusion of the North Koreans into the South. We were successful. We had the Incheon landing, that is, MacArthur cut off the North Koreans. And we had a great military victory. And we were waiting to go home. How little we knew that tens of thousands of Chinese had crossed the Yellow River in sub-zero weather and surrounded my outfit and the entire 8th Army. So for days we heard bugles and broken English saying they were going to come, and they did come. And we had about 90% casualties when you think in terms of who was killed, who was wounded, who was captured. And I was blown off of a half-track weapon truck. And I could hear the bugles, I could see. It was a nightmare. And I prayed to God in every language. I was an altar boy, I even prayed in Latin. I was convinced I was going to die, but I just said, what the hell, I'll take a shot at it. And I said, if you get me out of this, I'll be no problem ever in life. And somehow, that got a hold of me and formed my outlook on life for everything. And I can honestly say, which sometimes people find it difficult to believe, that I've never had a bad day since then. Mm-hmm. You may say, it may come close, but when I stop to count the blessings I've had, sometimes I almost forget what the problem was. And it's been philosophical. I've been able to help people by trying to share with them that there's so much pain in this world that so many people have, that no matter how big and painful your problem is, there are other people worse off. Mm-hmm. And you can really resolve it better if you have a better understanding. And it's worked for me.
It certainly has. As you're talking about your service, we had a picture of you here, looking quite handsome and young. Now, share your thoughts about your military service during the Korean War. Specifically, I read in your book that you were awarded the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart for your service.
Well, I volunteered to serve in September of 1948. at Fort Dix, and then we went to Fort Lewis, Washington. And then the Korean War broke out in June of 1950. So we were the first U.S. troops from the mainland to go there. I wasn't afraid of anything because I had no idea it was a war. They said it was a police action. And it was only on those 13 days on the troop ship that we knew people were getting killed and people were getting shot at. And so, after what I described, I was also the first one to come back home. Mm. And even though I had a minor disability, it did afford me the opportunity to go back to school. I never thought about going back to school. I didn't think I had to go back to school. But the job market made it abundantly clear I had to go back to school. I had no clue where I wanted to go. Nobody in my family went to college, and nobody in my neighborhood did. As a matter of fact, I used to think that City College, which is on the hill here from Lenox Avenue, I thought that was Riverside Church. Nobody in the neighborhood were given that encouragement to go further. And even when they told me that I could not become a professional because I didn't have enough time, I got belligerent and said I wanted to be somebody. So my grandpa was the guy that raised me, and he was an elevator operator in the criminal court building. He wore a gray uniform with a badge, never took it off, gave free advice all on the stoops of Lenox Avenue. I wanted so much to impress him. And he loved judges, he loved prosecutors, he loved lawyers. And even though he never finished high school, he acted like he was a lawyer. So I told him I wanted to be a lawyer at the VA. They said I couldn't. I raised hell. And they put together a program for me, and I was able to pull the whole thing out. And as soon as I got out of law school, I was appointed as an assistant United States attorney by Bob Kennedy. Mm-hmm. And I've never really looked back since.
Mm-hmm. Now, as your career was starting to take off, we have another picture here. You were known, you had 3 longtime friends in that historic photo, and the 4 of you were known as the Gang of 4. And if you could just share some of the personal stories that you have, we can start with the late Basil Patterson, who was the father of former New York State Governor David Patterson. These were all legendary people that you got to spend time with. What was it like to be part of the Gang of 4? What was it like to be Basil Patterson's friend?
No one told us we were legendary. No one told us we were important, and certainly not our wives. We actually became known as the Gang of 4 more because of our similarities in terms of individually believing we had to improve the quality of life in our community because our community has given us such a chance. Dave Dinkins' daddy was a barber in New Jersey. Basil Patterson's parents were immigrants. I used to tease him that I was one of the uptown people on 32nd Street. And we always knew we were better than the downtown people from 16th Street. Percy Sutton probably had more education in class than we did. He came from Texas, and he worked day and night, became a civil rights lawyer in the NAACP. Mm-hmm. And of course, I had no dreams at all of being a part of this. But we got caught in a political situation where, because we abstained from the participation, they assumed we were organized. Mm. And the person that was looking for support didn't get it from any of us. We had no idea what the agenda was. And so one of the newspapers said that we killed the candidate. The Gang of 4 did it, rather. And we were so disappointed. Why? We didn't do anything. But then later, when we started producing politically for the community, they said the Gang of 4 did it. And he was saying it in a very positive way. And so we've enjoyed that, but whenever we've heard, there's only two of us left now, Dave Dinkins and I. So I'm 86, he's 88. And we said pretty soon we can tell any story we want. Won't be anybody around.
To challenge it.
That's right. It was wonderful in knowing that we really never had a whole lot of meetings in order to participate as elected officials. People are shocked that as close as Percy Sutton and I have been, we never visited each other's home, we never went to a bar together, we never had dinner together. When we were both in Albany, of course, we had lunch together. But it was just our commitment and knowing that work had to be done. And having that much confidence and trust in a friend. I think Percy Sutton said it best. He says, the four of us need no maintenance for our friendship.
As you mentioned, you and former Mayor David Dinkins are the only two that are left. And there's a slight amount of competition in terms of, I guess, style, I would say. Everyone recognizes Mayor Dinkins as being the most dapper of the mayors we've ever had. But you can certainly hold your own in that department. And when it comes to Congress, it doesn't matter whether they're Republican or Democrat, they all agree that you certainly are one of the classiest, best dressed that we have representing us. And why this level of pride, and what does it mean for you to represent us and be so well dressed while you do it?
You know, it could be insecurity.
And why do you share these tips with youngsters?
They asked. No, they asked. But, you know, it was not unusual for kids to go to school with holes in their shoes. They had to put cardboard in the shoes. At that time, wearing sneakers meant that you couldn't afford regular shoes. Jeans meant that you had to do manual labor. No one wanted to wear any darn jeans. And one day a week, we had to put on a white shirt and a red tie for the assembly. And at that time, teachers would really look respectable. So dressing up, in my mind, was so closely related to the success. And I'm so old-fashioned. When I see an unshaven teacher with no tie and jeans on and sneakers, I wonder whether a kid believes that that's the way he's supposed to dress. Because when I was a kid, these were the only people I would see in the neighborhood that I want to be like. You look like me, you're dressed up, and that was it. And so all of this is with teasing. The intern says, I like the way you wear a bow tie, but I can't tie one. I almost forgot this. And so we had fun. And they had more fun than I did, because they all started out tying each other.
Oh,
and
really?
then there was a contest between officers and whatnot. But sometimes when I walk the street and I'm wearing jeans and casual clothes, and people say, oh, Congress, oh, you're relaxing. I still feel awkward, because I think I make too much money. I'm a symbol for my community. And if they want a guy representing them, not only articulating their needs and concerns, but to look like they want their kids to look, I feel it's an obligation. Now, please don't ask my wife what I look like around now. No, that would not work.
Well, we have other great photos of you and great moments where you, representing us, got to meet great distinguished people like former President Bill Clinton. We also had the opportunity to meet Nelson Mandela. And you've represented us at numerous parades, veteran issues, within cultural events with Dominican Day Parade, the Puerto Rican Day Parade. You are definitely a friend of the community and looking to support and bring progress in whatever way you can to whatever group you are representing. You've had an
Let me make it clear now. Retiring from the Congress doesn't mean I'm retiring from the struggle. This community has made fantastic urban improvements. But it's reached a point that housing is not affordable, jobs are not affordable. Our schools are not providing the tools that are necessary for people to compete. And so let's not make this sound like a funeral. This is just a change in the road.
Very soon, you're going to become Citizen Rangel rather than as we began with the Lion of Lenox Avenue or representative from Congress. What can we expect from you as Citizen Rangel?
Well, you can expect to check with my grandkids. They're going to see a lot more of me than I've been allowed to do. And quite frankly, I intend to be a very happy husband by trying to make my wife a very happy wife. She's tolerated so much without making me feel any sense of embarrassment for the passion I had to serve the public, and we've been together over 50 years, and there just some things that we never took a deep breath and have done together.
When you won your primary, the first win, your first congressional primary that evening, and what it set off, the career it set off, when you sit back and think what it felt like on that night and what it might feel like on your last night as a representative.
I had no idea what I was doing in running against Adam Clayton Powell. As a matter of fact, the more I think about it, the more I think I ran for that vacant seat that he refused to leave Bimini to come back home to. And my assembly position would be in jeopardy because I was supportive of Adam Clayton Powell. So all of the people that wanted to remove him for absenteeism had me on that list too. Mm-hmm. And when the governor of New York, Nelson Rockefeller, told me if I wanted Adam Powell to come back home without criminal impediments, I went to Bimini, and Adam Powell made it abundantly clear that he didn't come back. And so I was more or less running for my own political survival than wanting to go to Washington. And I think that those that know my love for New York would know I didn't want to go south, but it was a great honor, and I don't have any regrets at all. But the excitement was that so many people didn't think it would happen. Mm-hmm. And certainly if they did, I wouldn't be there this long.
You get to walk into this building, which was named after Adam Clayton Powell, and there's a statue of him outside, and you walk past that whenever you come into this office. I think the future representatives will certainly have statues they can walk past, and they should, representing you and what you were able to do.
Let me let MNN and you in on a secret. When I was running as an assemblyman for the Congress, and with the support of Nelson Rockefeller, I was also supportive of getting this office building from the governor. Adam Powell called this building Rangel's SOB because politically he didn't want me to get credit for having been able to have done this with Governor Rockefeller. And he had people that were actually sitting out, camping out, saying we need apartments, not office building. Mm. And when I was elected, let's be honest about it, there were some people that still was in love with Adam Powell. So I was able to work with Assemblywoman Geraldine Daniels and the senator in naming this building after the man that condemned the building in the first place. And I'm so glad that happened, and that statue up there. I'm convinced that when the record is clear about which congressman has done the most in a period of time of 26 years, Adam Clayton Powell, who worked very closely with Lyndon Johnson, who legislatively was what Martin Luther King was to the movement, he was to the legislation. Adam Clayton Powell enacted all of the anti-poverty laws as the chairman of the Education Committee. His flamboyancy and his tendency to live a life that attracted more newspaper attention, for one thing, kind of dimmed the great great work he's done in the Congress. And so I'm glad that I had some part in seeing that this state office building is named after a federal official, which is really, truly unusual.
We know you as a political figure, as a great public servant, and it was great for myself to be able to sit here with you on this morning and share this time.
Well, you made it very comfortable for me, and of course Alfredo's been talking about this for a long time, but when he said MNN, I say, let's do it.
On March 15, 2015, Casa Puebla presented longtime Congressman Charles Rangel the prestigious Angel Award at the Mexican Festival restaurant on Manhattan's Upper West Side. Leading off the festivities was Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer.
Honoring Congressman Rangel is a wonderful idea. So thank you, Mr. Angel. That's what you are now. And I want to thank all the elected officials. I want to thank certainly want to thank Alfred Placeris, because lots of things I know in the world. Not only do I know Alfred, but I want you to know his sister, Elena, is probably the best principal the city of New York has ever had.
Jaime Lucero, president of Casa Puebla, explained why Congressman Charles Rangel was selected to receive the Angel Award.
Casa Puebla Angel recognition to our congressman. The last angel went to 100 years of Diario La Prensa. Yeah. Some of you remember. So the work of our congressman, I'm sure, will impact our community for the next 100 years.
Congressional colleagues Carolyn Maloney and Jose Serrano shared some moving personal accounts with their longtime friend.
He has been a mentor and a friend to me. When I came to Congress, he's been a brother in arms to me in the battles that we confront every day. I feel like we're taking 3 exams a day on things that confront our country. And I'm so pleased that El Placeros and Jaime and this wonderful organization has decided to make him the 2015 Angel Award.
Charlie Rangel was the leader with the late Tom Manton from Queens, but Charlie Rangel in making sure that I got on the appropriations committee.
Mistress of ceremony Jerusha Ramos introduced special guest former Mayor Dinkins, who in turn had some kind words for her.
You know, if I had you introducing me more often, I might have gotten re-elected. Where were you when I needed you? People ask him and ask me about us calling each other brother. And depending on who gets the microphone first, is who gets to tell the story. But since I'm first up, Charlie's mother challenged him. How come you call the mayor your brother? He's not your brother. You had one brother, Ralph. He's gone. But why do you call the mayor your brother? Charlie patiently explained that we were close personal and political friends. Therefore, we called each other brothers. That didn't satisfy Mom at all. And then she was hospitalized. And it was either her birthday or Mother's Day. And I sent flowers and a note. The note said, since my mother's gone and Charlie is my brother, therefore you're my mother too. From then on, I was tight with Mom.
This is a very moving experience for me. When I got the message, I started studying about Jaime. Until I got to the door, and Alfred tore about 4 beautiful women away from me. And I thought something had to be wrong, because they all had on their beautiful dresses and I'm trying to hold them. And then he had his clipboard, and I've never seen him like this before. And he said, I got a program. And when I came and saw all of these wonderful people at what amounts to a reunion, then I mean, all the things I wanted to say obviously have been said. So I just want to take this moment to tell you that just from what you've heard, it's abundantly clear that I've been one of the luckiest people in the entire world.
Family, friends, and New York's top elected officials were on hand for the premiere of the Lion of Lenox Avenue at Eminence El Barrio Firehouse Community Center. The Media Center's Executive Director, Zenaida Mendez, welcomed the premiere participants to Eminence Firehouse facility. Alfred Placeres produced the documentary with his wife Effie and son Ricardo of Soha Productions. Several elected officials shared their personal Rangel stories.
You have been an inspiration to generations of political leaders and a lot of people who get elected to office, and I know I speak for so many, try to emulate you. It never works. You are one of a kind.
There was reference to uniting the communities in West and Harlem, but no one did it better when they brought East Harlem and the West Side together than our congressman. That is one of his legacies, his ability to unite a very diverse tapestry of people.
Congressman, for anyone of my generation who's come up in politics, you have been a towering role model. You've really been the North Star that we've measured ourselves against. Not an example it will be easy to live up to, but I'm so grateful to have seen you up close in action and learned so much from you.
There are two lions that adorn the New York Public Library on Fifth Avenue. One lion is called Patience, and the other lion is called Fortitude, and it sits to the north of the library. And the lion that has famously been at the helm of Harlem is Congressman Charlie Rangel. And much like the lions guarding the library, he has guarded Harlem through the good and the bad times. And he has been the top cat in Harlem.
Former New York City Mayor David Dinkins had this to say about his fellow member of Harlem's famed Gang of Four.
I guess one of my favorite stories about my brother, though, has to be, as this audience knows, he was a dropout, went to Korea, surrounded by Chinese communists, and somehow or other he fought his way out of that, a real damn hero. Honest to God, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, came back and finished high school, college, law school, and and Alma, that was what did it.
State Senator Adriana Espaillat, who won the Democratic congressional primary to replace the retiring Rangel, closed out the program with this personal observation about the Lion of Lenox Avenue.
In addition to the great work that you've done, Congressman, I think it shows something that's very important today, and that's the level of empathy that you have. And often in politics and in government, now more than ever, the words are so harsh that I think we need more of that.